today. Jimmy Himes is right here. Hey, we brought in Tyler Ivins from the bench. Thanks for joining us today. We found out late in the week that we were going to have a shorter crew than I expected. I was kind of shocked by that. Put in the phone call. Thank you very much for stepping in.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate it. Josh Ward right here. VFL Will Overstreet right there. Mr. Raincloud, good to see you.
I'm here.
All right.
I'm here.
All right. Vols lose 19-14 at Arkansas. The passing game continues to look woeful. The secondary failed its first test against a quarterback who can actually throw the ball. So, Will, I'll start with you. Top takeaway from that defeat last night.
Top takeaway is how bad our offensive line is and how little trust this coaching staff actually has in them. I just looked at it. Arkansas lined up with 5 guys, 3, 2, 6 guys in the secondary. So 5-man front, you have 5 offensive linemen. On those kinds of plays, they still kept in a tight end and a back and were running 3-man routes. That's just telling you, hey, listen, we don't trust any of you guys, it looks like, to win a one-on-one matchup. And against that defensive line, they just said, we don't have the guys out there to be able to block. Unfortunately, you weren't much better at your tight end position or your running back position at blocking on pass pro either.
Yeah, Bishop was used at a hurdle at one point.
Yeah, so it just right now, pass pro blocking for us is we are not at an SEC level in my mind.
We were talking earlier, Miles Kitzelman had an interesting play. Go ahead quickly.
Yeah, he had an interesting play. He was supposed to help Chip basically block on the outside, and he takes a step behind the tackle. The tackle ends up running into Kitzelman and getting picked, and the defensive end comes free. So just things like that were just seemingly just bad technique, bad plays, all those things. Pass pro right now is a mess.
The other thing, Sam Pittman brought out a 3-2-6 last night, and they would blitz the guy from the field side to try and prevent, that was their alternative to the run, their antidote to the run. You saw Sam Venables doing 3-3-5 the week before, stepping guys in there. You're going to keep seeing it until you prove you can stop it, and until you can prove you can do something against it. Expect Florida to throw the same thing at you next week.
Absolutely, because listen, right now they're saying, hey, Nico's going to have to throw to 2 or 3 guys, but we think we can get there with the front 3 or 4 and adding a guy in to stop the run. Hey, go at it. You're going to have to see it, and then they're going to make you beat them.
Josh, top takeaway. Takeaway? There you go.
Yeah, to keep with the offense we discussed after the Oklahoma game, well, the offense didn't need to do much in that game, and that was true. Tennessee didn't need to do much, but that's a good thing because Tennessee's offense can't do enough right now. They needed to do more. Not that much, actually. Tennessee needed 20 points to win the game and couldn't get there. So there's the offensive line issue. There's the lack of playmaking on the outside at receiver. That was a group that needed to be upgraded from a year ago. To this point, that hasn't happened with guys coming back and guys that arrived, and then Nico's playmaking hasn't been enough. So people are trying to figure out the reasons. There are multiple reasons, and it's added up to this point to be a problem offensively.
But those guys look really good against Chattanooga and Kent State.
That also was true at the time. Yeah.
Now, I will say this for all those who are like Nico stinks. When you had guys open against Kent State and Chattanooga, Nico looked pretty damn accurate to me. It's when you don't have guys open, Nico doesn't look as good. But Tyler, top takeaway.
I co-sign on already what Will and Josh have already said. I guess I'll step into the next category. Penalties. I mean, you've got already one of the best teams at converting on third downs. What happened whenever you line up in the neutral zone when you already have personal foul penalties? That's as good as a conversion, keeping them on the field. I had an idea yesterday that Arkansas was going to try to want to duplicate what Florida did last year in the Swamp, just play keep away. Can't score whenever Tennessee's offense is on the sideline. They drain majority of the first quarter clock, and then when they still keep the ball, it looks like you're about to get them off the field, and then yellow. I know you listening and watching this show from the sidelines in the past, you guys frequently bring up penalties for Josh Heupel's team. When will they add up, or when will they come home to roost? Why don't you pick the Arkansas game last night? That was one where you could not afford to continue to shoot yourself in the foot, and it seemed to happen quarter after quarter after quarter.
First play of the game, you pick up 15 yards, legal man downfield, bring it back 5. Your offensive line kept stopping drives throughout the night, and then the roughing the punter or the running into the punter. Game changer. Jimmy, top takeaway.
Kind of a combination of what y'all have said. What I'm observing is this offense is not good enough to overcome a bad play. They had 11 possessions. 6 of them were stopped by either a penalty or a sack. And one reason they're not able to overcome it is they have, in my opinion right now, a pedestrian passing game. It's just not very good. Offensive line not protecting, receivers not getting open, Nico not seeing them, whatever it is, Their passing game right now is not that good, and so when they get put in a 3rd and 11 situation or 2nd and 15, they have trouble overcoming that on offense right now. In particular, against a decent defense. I'm not talking about the Chattanooga and Kent State. Against a decent defense, they're having trouble there. So I think the offense inability to overcome a negative play is hurting them.
Well, I do want to congratulate them, though, for beating Chattanooga and Kent State. I mean, in hindsight, that was valuable
Scored a lot of
scheduling.
points.
It was valuable scheduling because here's the thing. Clearly, all that, that's how you get better. It's how you get those extra reps. That's what I hear. It's still so much value because, boy, imagine how crappy they would have looked last night if they hadn't played Chattanooga and Kent State and had all that improvement. Let me put up some stats here that we can discuss. Some stats that I thought were very interesting that stood out to me. First down yardage. So on first downs, Tennessee had 100 yards, Arkansas had 200. And we talk about getting into tempo. One, their tempo is a problem on the road anyway, but they really get into tempo when they get that first down. Okay, well, 4 yards of play, that's not going to get you into tempo a whole lot. Next, first down passing. You want to talk about not having confidence in an offensive line? They threw 6 passes on first down last night. 6. Arkansas threw 13. I think that tells you they don't want to get behind the sticks on first down and face 2nd and 20. Passing yards, 158 or 156 to 297. Look at this in terms of your receivers. Yards after the catch, 44 for Tennessee, 143 for Arkansas. There is no Jalen Hyatt who's walking through that door, as Rick Pitino might say. You don't have a guy who can catch a 10-yarder and take it 90. Penalties, there you go. Tyler brought that up, 10 for 60 yards. Sacks, once again, the other team gets more sacks than you do. 4 times. They get to Nico 3 times in the first half, basically the same thing Oklahoma did 2 weeks ago. If you want to fluster a young quarterback, that'll do it. Turnovers, well, Tennessee has 0 there, but here's the thing. That running into the punter, that's basically a turnover.
Yep.
And a game-changing turnover. And Arkansas, they had no turnovers last night. That's a team that had 9. Mm-hmm. What you got last night was the Tylen Green and Arkansas, and Sam Pittman said it afterwards. If we are even in the turnover game, we can compete with anybody in the country. Against Texas A&M, they weren't even. Against Tennessee, they were even, and they're pretty good. Anything else stand out to you on that?
The Auburn and A&M game, to add on to your point,
Yeah.
they were -5 in the turnover category in SEC play coming in. As Pittman and you pointed out, you stay even, you got as great a chance of anybody.
This isn't the first time. This is the 2nd game in a row where their first down production's been poor. Mm-hmm. Against Oklahoma, it was 26 first downs for 52 yards.
Yeah.
And I think they've gotten, in large respect, so conservative with their first down plays. A lot of times just to run right up the middle. And when they're not clicking and getting a good gain on first down, it seems to slow the offense down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything else to close out this segment?
I think the only other thing is you saw some things show up in your zone and your linebacker covering last day. I think they really picked that apart. That's something to watch again, because if I'm Florida, if I'm Alabama, all those guys are looking at this tape going, okay, we don't have to go deep, but we can get a guy across the middle doing some crossing routes, and if the linebacker's having to pick up, I think I got something.
It's always interesting to me, though, all it takes, if you're losing a big stretch of games in a row, all it takes is one win, and suddenly the rest of the season looks different. If you're winning, that one loss and all of a season, instead of looking at the season and people telling me 10-2, there's no way they lose 2 games. Now it's this team's not going to win another game all year.
There's not a lot of zooming out.
No, there's
during
not.
the season.
It's very much just and no one is paying attention to that Alabama Vanderbilt game. It's like, well, that's its own thing. I enjoyed it. That's its own thing. That has nothing to do with telling me anything that you can lose. We did a segment last week saying anybody can beat anybody. We ran the scores and we talked about it. And you saw it yesterday all over the SEC, and it bit Tennessee. Question is, can they recover? All right. When we come back, who was the best player on the field yesterday? What was the worst decision? Oh, I think I know where that one's probably going to go. And then also, biggest disappointment. We got all that. We got play calling to come. We got conservatism to talk about. We got offensive line, receiver, Nico. Tons more to discuss. Come on back on this.